scored. It's Grant who's got the goal from the free kick, and we're heading for extra time now, surely.
Domingo! It is 2-0, and that now surely seals the K-League title for John Buckland in Motors.
You're listening to the K-League United podcast, proud partner of Football Nation Radio.
Hello, annyeonghaseyo. Welcome to the K-League United podcast World Cup edition live. Matthew Binns here, bleary-eyed as we awake from the dramatic scenes of last night's final Group H matches as Korea progressed through to the last 16 against the odds by defeating Portugal 2-1. Fortunately, I won't be trying to make sense of this on my own, as we are joined by a man who missed the first group games through injury and much speculation of his availability, but has returned at the last minute in joyous fashion to get us through to the round of 16. It's Paul Neat, everyone. Good to have you back, Paul.
Good to be back, yeah. Thanks very much. Back in time for the round of 16. Like Benzema, apparently, because I think Deschamps hasn't ruled that out yet, I think. So, yeah, nice to be here.
Indeed. And, well, having wandered the various streets of Seoul last night, taking in the atmosphere around him as he went, it's Michael Redmond.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, once again, a very eventful night. At one point, I celebrated the goal with a taxi driver and suing around the streets of Konkuk University. So some might notice I'm wearing the Korea shirt. Some might think it's very diligent laundry in the morning. Some might think I slept in it. You be the judge.
We will let our listeners decide that. I'm sure your washing machine is doing good work at the moment down at the Harangi hideout, as you've been calling it. But yes, well, yeah, as alluded to there, South Korea have progressed to the round of 16 following that Portugal win, and they've made it through by goals scored, also known as the K-League way, after nail-biting scenes between Uruguay and Ghana saw the Uruguay get the win, but not a big win victory that Son and co needed. Paul, what drama there at the end, and they don't want this in 2026.
Can you believe it? Yeah, I know. But reportedly, they are currently open to kind of altering the format. But yeah, right now, as the time of recording, the suggestions would be in order to accommodate 48 teams, they're going to expand it to 16 groups of 3. But why on earth would you want to do that when it would take away the scenes that we had last night and the last few days? Because these, all right, people were kind of thinking, oh, well, it's the end of the sort of 4 games in one day. You have to choose watching 2 games at the same time on the last round of these group stage games. But the drama, I mean, we thought we'd seen it all. And then last night with Korea, clearly we hadn't. It was incredible.
Indeed. Recent days, they've seen Japan defeat Spain by quite literally the narrowest of margins to knock Germany out of the group stages.
Yeah.
We've seen Belgium limp out and Morocco top their group, while even Australia's getting in on the fun. They sawed off Denmark and they're going through alongside France. So yeah, this World Cup has, it's actually seen more AFC countries, AFC nations get through than South American nations. AFC is the second best represented in this, going into the final 16. Who would have thought it going in if you believed most European-centric outlets prior to this tournament? But yeah, it's good to have these things come through for us. We've been following Korean football for a while, and lots of people doing good work elsewhere in Asia following the stories that have been going on there. And it's good to be, what's the word? To have it.
Put these people in their place. Yeah, because, after the first couple of games with AFC nations, Qatar, obviously, they didn't have the best of tournaments. But then we saw Saudi Arabia do it. We saw Japan do it. And then, I'll be honest with you, and I know Kim Min-jae said this after the first round of matches, that he was kind of envious of the fact that these other AFC nations have been able to record upsets and giant killings. And it was like, well, now you're thinking, please, let's just hope that South Korea are able to do that. And, well, we had to wait until the very last group stage game for them to do it. But they did it. Incredible.
Indeed it was. So, yeah, on today's pod then, we didn't think we'd be here. Michael didn't think he'd be writing
No.
a preview at
Nope.
ungodly hours of the morning, and Branko's currently typing as we speak. But yeah, we're here, and we're going to be recapping that Portugal game before the small matter of previewing Korea's last 16 clash against a little-known side, Brazil. So yes, and then later on we'll be coming with the Footballogy match of the round and our predictions, and I'm sure they're going to be positive, but we'll find out later on. But Paul, let's start with last night. Just give us, our listeners, a recap if they haven't been able to follow this. What happened on Friday night?
Well, it was at midnight here in Korea, so yeah, it would have been. I mean, a bit late for some, but yeah, I mean, the biggest concerns heading into this one was the injury status of Kim Min-jae. Obviously, he in the end sat out and watched the game from the bench. In came Kwon Kyung-won of Gamba Osaka, and I thought he was excellent. Lee Kang-in, he started after sort of two very positive displays from the bench in the first two games. Jung Young, little Jung Young as it is, he missed out. Lee Jae-sung also, he came back in with Kwon Chang-hun dropping to the bench again. And Cho Gyu-sung, the sort of the man of the moment, I suppose you could say, with just how popular he's proving to be on social media. 1.6 million followers now on Instagram, apparently, having started the tournament with 20,000. So not too bad. So he started, and obviously he didn't score in this one, but the two goals that he did score against Ghana proved to be, well, very, very important. For Portugal, it was, as we kind of expected, a something of a rotated squad. They obviously had some injury concerns. They had some players on yellow cards that would miss their first round of 16 game if they were to pick up another yellow card against Korea. So, Bruno Fernandes being one of them. He scored two in their win in the second game of the group stage. So a bit of a rotated Portugal squad, which it was still a strong team. And I thought Portugal didn't really get out of second gear for a lot of this game. They showed glimpses of it with short, sharp passing moves, but Korea were able to sort of really contain them most of the time, but not in the first 5 minutes, though, because that's all it took for Portugal to take the lead. Korea caught down their left-hand side again. Ball into the channel towards Diego Dalot, who cut inside, past Kim Jin-soo, and puts the ball into Horta, who is unmarked at the edge of the area, and he was there for a very fairly simple goal to sort of convert. But it didn't take too long for Korea to get themselves back level. Kim Young-won, he only seems to score in the third match of a group stage game of a World Cup, and from close range with his foot as well. So he was on hand, and Ronaldo with the assist. Thank you very much for that one. So corner in from Lee Kang-in. Ronaldo can't clear it. It goes straight into the path of Kim Young-won, who he pokes the ball in. And then you start to believe, because Korea, once they're able to get that equalizer in the first half, it changes the complexion of the whole game, really, because you don't want to be going into the break 1-0 down. We had to wait quite a bit for the winning goal. There were some tactical tweaks, substitutions. Hwang Hee-chan, obviously, who missed the first two group stage games with injury. It was a bit of a doubt whether we'd see him at all in this tournament. But he came on. He was superb, wasn't he? He was very positive. He got on the ball. He drove forward. And it was somebody else, another outlet other than Son, because Son was getting marked. He had three players on him sometimes. And, well, like we saw with the goal, Son, I'll get to this probably in a little bit later, but Son hasn't had the best of tournaments, didn't have the best of games last night against Portugal. But what he does, because he is who he is, he had three players around him. That allowed Hwang Hee-chan to find space. The through ball from Son, nutmeg through ball into Hwang Hee-chan, the perfectly weighted pass. And there we go, 2-1. And then we saw absolute scenes.
Yeah, absolute scenes, limbs, as the kids say.
Yeah.
And but it wasn't over. It wasn't over because Uruguay was playing Ghana, and as alluded to, Uruguay needed to win. They could have drawn, but it would have been better if Uruguay won, but not by a big margin, because if they won by too big of a margin, then they would have overtaken Korea. So 2-0 with Korea scoring two goals 2-0 for Uruguay, rather, with Korea scoring 2 goals against Portugal, was really the threshold. So we're watching the Korean players in a circle who are watching a phone and watching the Uruguay versus Ghana game, and it just kept going on. The injury time just kept going on. And finally, SBS, or I think I was watching it via SBS, different channels all had it. They scrambled and managed to get the mini screen up in the bottom corner because all Korean channels were showing the Korea game. Obviously, there wasn't another channel readily available with the Uruguay Ghana game. And, well, yeah, you can only imagine how the players felt in that moment. And, Michael, you've been in that with a 2012 Aguero goal. Now, surely you can tell me about being a Manchester United. I'm sorry, Michael.
I'm just checking the notes here. This is not part of the notes here. Where are you getting this from?
Hey, I was there that day. I was at the Stadium of Light that day when Aguero scored. I was part of it.
Yeah, anyway. But Michael, I mean, watching Korea there, you can tell me more about United later. But you watching Korea there. How was it for you? Because you were in a taxi with the taxi driver in taking that in.
Yeah, just for a start. 9 a.m. I started writing this morning. It's now 2:30. Just let you know, okay? Yeah, I went to watch the game in a busy area of Seoul, and me hedging my bets for I'll jump in a taxi now and catch the game on my phone, because I'm going to be honest with you, I thought it was going to end 1-1. Next, you know, this old taxi driver's jumping around, beeping his horn. He's got the match on. We're watching it. Wang Yi-chan goes in. Both of us embrace whilst driving. Quite worrying. I arrive back in my local area around about the full-time whistle. So now I'm like, right, I need to go and find somewhere to watch this Uruguay Ghana game. Luckily, there was some nightclub in the street that had the TV on, and I was just there watching it, surrounded by like students just watching this game, and it was a real World Cup moment. And as I was walking home, some guy was like, "Oh, you're wearing the Korea shirt." And he's like, "No, Ronaldo," and me, funnily enough, just went, "Sue." 20 minutes later, follows me in the street with 50, 60 Korean people watching me going, "Sue, Sue, Sue." I was the talk of the town. So,
yeah. Unbelievable.
Paul,
but yeah, the live. I watched the first half on SBS, and then I was getting a bit irritated by Lee Sung-woo's constant compliments. He like the main commentator was sort of trying to say, "Yeah, but we need to try and do this," and but Lee Sung-woo was just like, it was just a bit sort of said the same thing. So we switched to, I think, NBC, and the split screen came on, and it had, obviously, like you said, Matthew, the South Korean players watching the game on the phone, and then on the other side of the screen we had the Uruguay game, but there was no clock.
No,
so we had no idea how long was left. How much time had been added on, and how many of those minutes that have since passed. So it was like, this is torture. I don't know.
Yeah,
because like the players, Son's in tears. For once, he's tears of joy, but he doesn't know whether he's through yet or not. It's ridiculous. And I didn't know how delicate the situation was. I didn't realize that one more goal for Uruguay would. I was like, oh, this is horrific. It was so painful to watch.
Yeah, indeed. But yeah, it was horrific to watch. But in the end, the full-time whistle was the final call. We got to see Suarez on the bench in Uruguay, taking in the news, shedding a tear or two as well. Ghana celebrating for their while still exiting, getting to eke a little bit of revenge out over Uruguay for the World Cup, a couple of World Cups previous. But let's just go into the talking points of this match then. Michael, this game, what worked for Korea? What made this match different to what we've seen before?
Well, I think it's the fact that Korea just really picked the time, literally on the dying depths to score a goal there. Son Heung-min, as Paul alluded to, he didn't have the best of games, but when it's Son Heung-min, you have to mark him, and it just opened up the chance for Hwang Hee-chan to score that goal. They picked the time to strike, and they were quite on the back foot for the majority of the game. They were down on passes, they were down on possession. However, it's the amount of shots. They had the same as Portugal, which is quite surprising given the possession and the actual passing rate. Korea's defensive issues we've seen in the past, but at times the whole team was sat back, making sure that another Portugal goal didn't go in. And as I said, they just picked a time to strike, and what a time to pick to do it. So that's my kind of versions of the game.
Indeed. Paul, anything you'd like to pick out that worked for you?
Yeah, I just thought that the decision making and composure was much better in this game compared to certainly the Ghana game. They seemed to fall apart a bit in the final third against Ghana, but against Portugal, this was much better, and they seemed just more confident, which I think helped as well. That they didn't panic even when the sort of time was ticking away a little bit, and they had to go backwards to go forwards. I think this was down to Bento's system and also the players that he has in those deep lying playmaker positions. Obviously, one being Hwang In-bom, and also the goalkeeper. He actually remembered how to save some shots this time, because against Ghana, 3 shots on target and 3 goals, and it was all a bit sort of, is this the best that we've got? In terms of the goalkeeping department. But I thought he had a very good game last night. Made a big difference because the back four then is confident if they know that the goalkeeper is going to save them, is going to be there to sort of be that last line of defense, and it makes all the difference. So he made some good saves, and I mean, obviously Portugal, I don't think they really got out of second gear for a lot of it, but South Korea were just there, and their game plan worked to a T. They knew they had to sort of make the most of the possession that they had on the counter attack, and they did it. And I think that was it. Composure really was the biggest thing.
Indeed, and we'll just keep you there, Paul. What didn't work then in that case?
Well, I mean, we've already touched on this really, I think, already so far with what Michael just said as well. But I think what didn't work was, I think, the plan A, in the sense that Son Heung-min obviously is the outlet, isn't he? They try and hit teams on the counter attack through Son, who can drive forward. But I don't know what it was about him. Maybe he's just not fit. Maybe the mask. Maybe he can't see very well. I don't know. But I just don't think he didn't really have the best of games, or he hasn't really had the best of tournaments either. But I think eventually, in that right moment, he was there to produce that one good thing that he did. Other than that, I mean, the fullbacks, Kim Jin-soo again, culpable for not getting in front of the cross. We're gonna have to watch this against Brazil, I think, as well. But I think most of it was more of a game of things that did go well. Obviously because South Korea won.
Indeed. Michael, just to jump about a bit, you touched on Son Heung-min and you pointed out as one of your players who shone, really. So what was it for you that Son Heung-min did well in this game?
For me, I think it was kind of like his presence alone at times really brought the team forward, where if he wasn't in that team, we could have been looking at a completely different scoreline. Obviously, he got the assist to score the goal, but I just think with Son Heung-min, he produced what his country kind of needed. He's attacking all game, trying to get the ball into Portugal's half at all costs. As I said, he was rewarded with the assist to Hwang Yi-chan. And it's just, as Paul said, it's quite nice to see him crying happy tears for once, because obviously we saw the 2018 World Cup, we're seeing in the Champions League final. He likes a good cry, son, so it's quite nice to see it on a good side.
Indeed. Cheers, Portugal. Son's crying. But yeah.
Well, he did the interview. I'm not sure if you saw the post-match interview he did, but he couldn't really get his words out. It was incredible that he was able to sort of get through the interview, because every time he sort of talked about how the team worked hard, and he couldn't really speak. So yeah, it was great to see Son crying tears of joy.
Tears of joy. It was interesting as well in one of the interviews, and I apologise for not being able to credit who actually gave this on Twitter, but it was just various things going around all at once. Everybody's watching this game. But Son talking about Bento as well, being good to have Bento back for potentially what would be his last game, which was a bit of we've seen lots of rumours about Paulo Bento house going up for sale and things like this. So there is a possibility that this could be his final farewell. I mean, who knows? He might just be moving to a nicer location closer to the Han River. Which it's hard to tell sometimes. But
Me and Michael in Concook.
Yeah, exactly. He's heard of the party atmosphere, and Paolo Bennett wants a bit of it.
More than welcome in Harangi House.
Indeed. Paul, we've talked a bit about Son, but let's talk about the son of Dejon. He's a player that you've picked out.
Yes, Hwang again. His passing, in terms of the range of passing, his choice of pass and when to make it, I think has been superb. Last night, in particular, was an example of that. You know, he's played, I think, every minute of every game so far in this World Cup, and he usually does so when he is fit. He is one of the first names on the team sheet for Paolo Bento. He's essential for him. And there's a stat here from Opta that popped up on Twitter last night. It says that Hwang made 89 passes that ended in the final third in the World Cup so far. Only Pedri from Spain with 100 and Rodrigo de Paul from Argentina with 97 has made more. So 69% accuracy overall for his passes to the final third. And he also ranks third for passes to the final third in the whole of the World Cup so far as well. So he is showing just how good he is. And I know he's already with a big club in Olympiacos, but he might have a few more people watching him thinking, well, maybe we can move to Germany or even somewhere like Spain, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, I think every one of us has picked him on each one of these pods. Steve also picked him as well. Like the other way, everybody's noticing him. And I think that's only a good thing, you know, after the problem he's had at club level in this past 12 months, having to move around a bit because of the situation with Russia and Ukraine, and having to play trade in Seoul, having a bit of injury, then finally getting that move away to Olympiacos. It's good that all that disruption hasn't phased him, and he's finally got that. He's making his appearance on the World Cup stage, and he's producing, and it's fantastic because, you know, we've talked about him for a long time on this podcast. You know, he's been featuring regularly since our first season. We had an interview with him in English as well way back when, and we've always been a big believer in his potential. And it's always great when these things pay off. And I'm really happy seeing him deliver now on the potential we all kind of knew he had. For me, I've gone for the obvious, and it was kind of the similar reason. Lee Kang-in was one of the main players last week. And I've gone for Hwang Hee-chan just because of the notable impact he had as soon as he came on the pitch, the way he just lifted that entire team. And it's just fantastic to have him back. And he showed what he could offer in just a short amount of time. And it's the speed and the control and the willingness to just dribble at the defense. And Korea desperately needed a goal. And I at one point I was thinking that they're not throwing anybody forward. They need to move forward or something at some point. They're going to run out of opportunities. And well, yeah, what a player, what a card to bring on. You know, the speed he had to catch up with Son in that final breakaway. It's a massive attribute for Korea to have that in their arsenal ahead of such a big match on Monday night. So I'm really hoping he gets more minutes. I don't know how fully fit he is, if he's fit enough to start against Brazil, but even if it's just as an impact player, if he can have the kind of impact he had against Portugal, I really look forward to seeing Hwang Hee-chan try and break down this Brazilian defence. But yes, that's enough about Korea-Portugal. We've gone on about it a little bit too much there. We do have questions coming in, but we are going to save the questions for the end. So please keep sending them in. We're making a note and we'll be coming back to them all at the end. We're moving out of the group stage. We're on to the last 16. And after the break, we preview Korea versus Brazil. Don't go anywhere.
FNR is a revolutionary football-dedicated digital platform, the first of its kind in Australia. It provides a 24/7 live online radio platform experience, podcast hub, and acts as a content provider for TV, radio, and digital. Having reached millions of listeners and football fans since launching, FNR is accessible worldwide via its website or app, providing a platform to discuss, debate, and celebrate the world game. We are your voice of football, FNR Football Nation Radio.
Hello and welcome back to the K-League United podcast, where we have just previewed the Portugal game. I'm joined by Paul Neat and Michael Redmond. And Michael Redmond, who has just made an exciting dash for his laptop charger, which has made for great viewing for me and Paul here in the green room. But he has managed to get back into his seat just in time as the ad was closing there. Well played, Michael. You rivaled Hwang Hee-chan for pace there, it should be said.
Sorry, I'm going all red here. I couldn't get the plug in as well. I was like, oh, the commercial's ended. Come on.
It's good to see you still got it. You still got that pace. To maybe sign you up. It's all Elon looking for somebody. But we are going to be looking at Korea, Brazil, and not Michael's athletic prowess. And going into this, we're going to start by just taking a quick look at Korea and having a quick update on things with them and how they might line up against this before Michael then takes us through the adversaries in Brazil. So, Paul, you're Paulo Bento. You're back from your touchline ban. How are you laying your squad out ahead of this game? Oh, Paul, we're going to have to just take that one more time. You're just on mute.
I think Bento has to find a way to get Son, Hwang Hee-chan, Lee Gang-in, and Cho Gyu-song in the team in the starting lineup. I know, like you said, Matthew, just before the break about Hwang Hee-chan's fitness. I mean, yeah, I would be tempted to sort of start him and just see how he does if he can get a first half out of him. I'm not sure. But I mean, I'll look back actually to see what formation he played against Brazil in that friendly in June. And it was a 4-1-4-1 with sort of Paek Sung-ho, Hwang In-bom in the middle with Jong Gu-yong as the sort of anchoring midfield player. We might see something like that just to sort of try and get bodies in midfield and limit the space for Brazil and try and hit them on the counter-attack. So that's, I think, you know what he's like, Bento. He doesn't really stray too far away from his system and his shape. So you might see more of the same, a 4-1-4-1 maybe, or you might even go with the 4-2-3-1. It might even change mid-game. You might start with a 4-1-4-1, and then when you need, there's a bit more urgency in the second half, you might change it a bit there as well. But yeah, I think it will depend on I think whether Hwang Hee-chan can start or not, whether he does make those kind of changes.
Indeed, and we'll be having all the news on our website on KLeagueUnited.com in the upcoming days. Branko as well, with the official match preview coming out in the next couple of days. So please keep an eye out for that on KLeagueUnited.com. But another article that's out on KLeagueUnited.com is the latest in Michael's series of adversaries, taking a deeper dive into who Korea is facing. And having turned it around from 9 a.m. this morning, Michael, you've done a bit of a deep dive into Brazil. Just first of all, talk about how they got here.
Yes, so as part of the series on writing, I've actually touched on them before because of Uruguay. They ran right in the qualifiers, in the CONMEBOL qualifiers. They came first in the group that they have on 45 points, 14 wins and 3 draws. Now that got them the ticket to Doha. Now they were put in Group G in the finals, which housed Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon. Now, Brazil, they started the World Cup with an impressive 2-0 win over Serbia, with goals coming from Richarlison from Tottenham Hotspur. Now, they faced the second game against Switzerland, and it took them to the 83rd minute to score the goal. Manchester United's midfield maestro Casemiro with the goal to put them 6 points ahead and, more than likely qualified before going into the third game. Now, it's a good job they did almost qualify by then, because they actually lost the third game against Cameroon 1-0. It was a 90th minute goal from Abu Bakar, who scored the goal. Funnily enough, he took his shirt off to celebrate the goal, and it was his second bookable offence, so he was walking after that celebration. But yeah, so it was 2 wins and 1 loss in the group stages, and it puts them top of the group, and this is how we've got here now to face Korea.
Indeed, and how this, I mean, for people who might not know Brazil, Michael, what kind of team, what kind of football do they like to play?
Well, in the article I wrote, there's a subheading saying "Kings of the Competition," and it's not something that would be used quite lightly for the World Cup. But I think it's best to say Brazil attack a little bit. Just looking at some of their stats in the last few games. In the Serbia game, they had 23 shots with 54% possession and over 500 passes. So it kind of shows the movement in the side, pass, move, shot, pass, move, shot. It sounds very simple, but it's very hard to master that attacking kind of football that Brazil can do so easily. If you look at the other game now, 13 shots against Switzerland with 483 passes. They're dominating all the stats in the game. Whenever Brazil are on the field, it's their game to control. Okay, there was 21 shots and 475 passes in the Cameroon game, and they lost that. But you could still see the tempo's high in taking shots. The tempo's still high in passing and moving the ball around. It's very pass move from Brazil. And even though we look at Brazil, like look at these individual fantastic players, they still work as a team, and that's why they're feared. I mean, people have them as favourites before they even kicked off in this World Cup.
Indeed.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, go for it. Yeah, no secret. I've got Argentina and Brazil in the work pool, so I've got mixed loyalties here. You know, I mean, I obviously want Korea to win, but there's the possibility of a free coffee in it for me. But yeah, Michael, a lot of individuals being named there. Who are the individuals we should really be watching in this match?
Well, to be honest, we are going to touch on the team news a little bit later, but it's kind of hard to pick because of injuries in the squad that we will touch on. At the minute, I would say don't count out Richarlison because the simple fact he got a brace in the first game, and okay, he might not be the massive profile player you'd be thinking of, but we've watched him at Everton, watched him at Tottenham. He knows how to score goals. And do you know what I mean? Like, if a team needs a goal, you'd expect him to come up and produce the goods for them. So Korea's defence need to keep an eye on him for the majority of the game because he could pop up at any time, really.
Indeed. And, well, Team K-League are very well aware of his presence, having faced him when he came here with Tottenham. But, yeah, he is certainly one to watch. Paul, anybody in particular you're concerned about for Brazil?
Vini Jr. from Real Madrid. I think obviously he's one of the. So I think this is a team full of stars, obviously, but he plays for Real Madrid, so you can't really say he's perhaps overlooked. But he's not. I don't think he's been talked about too much. Perhaps because obviously anybody he plays in that kind of position is in the shadow of Neymar. I just hope Neymar isn't fit, to be honest, as well. Hopefully, for Korea's sake, Neymar doesn't play. But yeah, I mean, this is a team full of just huge stars. So I would, Michael touched on Richarlison, but Vini Jr. is the one who I would look into sort of make sure that the Korea can do a job on. And Korea's fullbacks defensively haven't been able to sort of cut the crosses out or be as perhaps aggressive as they might ought to have been. Which is why I mean, obviously Kim Min-wan is a very good player, but I thought maybe Kim Tae-hwan right back with his aggression might have been someone that you could bring in to sort of try and counter that. He's still got the pace, even at 33, you know. So, yeah, I think the wide positions in particular are ones that would concern me.
Yeah, I think that's been a concern through all the tournament, and the concern isn't going to get any smaller versus Brazil. No. Certainly a worrisome area for Paulo Bento as he prepares his side for this match. But we will be giving our predictions and also talking about the footballogy of the round. And I mean, I'll let you guess which one you think it might be. But we'll have a quick break and we'll come back after that. So don't go anywhere.
Footballogy is a football app like no other. With the handiest tool for football fans on your phone, you can locate any match nearby no matter where on the planet you are or plan to be. Keep track of all your visited games, collect all kinds of stats, and get badges for achievements like special games and milestone events. The Footballogy app covers more than 80,000 grounds and 1,200 leagues worldwide, including K-League 1 and 2, as well as K3 and K4 and the WK League. Download Footballogy for free today on iPhone or Android. Connect with your friends, and your football life will never be the same again.
Welcome back to the K-League United podcast. Matthew Binns here, joined in the studio by Paul Neat and Michael Redmond, virtual studio, it should be said. We, before the break, previewed the Brazil-Korea game, and unsurprisingly, this is also our Footballogy match of the round, gentlemen. The Footballogy match of the round, Korea versus Brazil, is taking place in Doha in Stadium 974. I don't know if any of you have seen this stadium yet from the outside. Any, Michael, Paul?
Yeah, I have. It's full of container things, isn't it?
Yep.
It's one of those ones that's going to be sort of taken down and moved elsewhere after the tournament. So it's kind of interesting that if you are at the World Cup, this is the only chance really you'll get to sort of go to this kind of interesting stadium. It is one of the... It's quite an interesting design, isn't it? I do quite like it.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So it's about 44,000 in capacity, and it's already been host to Brazil once actually in this tournament. It was the location for Brazil's 1-0 victory over Switzerland, and yeah, it's been designed with this idea of being dismantled and reassembled elsewhere. So it makes it the first temporary venue in World Cup history. And as you mentioned there, it's constructed from shipping containers and modular steel, and it's kind of a nod to its coastal location, its port location. It's based about 10 kilometers east of Doha in the Ras Abu district. I may have got that wrong. Apologies for the pronunciation there. Fans then perhaps might expect a bit of a cooler breeze, but I'm no weather expert, but Michael is. Michael, how's the weather looking for this one?
Oh, well, the weather for this one, to be honest, after looking at that stadium, I thought I was going to give you the weather for the Pohang docks. But yeah, here we are. So with Qatar, it's going to be a cool 25 degrees by the time we kick off the game. There's almost going to be a full moon. We're only a couple of days off a full moon. So beautiful moonlight for the game, for the dance between Brazil and Korea.
And for Kim and Juan to have a wonderful match.
There you go. Taking my punchlines here now and everything. But we know about the whole air conditioning incident. Anthony, Manchester United, Anthony in Brazil player has said it's making him ill. So Korea's be hoping a couple more Brazilians will be falling ill due to the air conditioning. Korea will also be trying to douse any flare from Brazil in that game. So yeah, it's going to be a cool one in the stadium, but 25 outside.
Okay, thank you very much for the weather there, Michael. We are going to give our predictions quickly, and then we will address. We have a question in the comments, so we'll do our predictions. It's Brazil versus Korea, Monday night. Michael, who's making it through to the quarterfinals?
Brazil.
Yeah,
we've just spent 38 minutes praising Korea, but I think they're favourites to go on and win the competition, so I think it's Brazil.
Yeah. Do you think it's going to be close? Can there be any hope for Korean fans, or is it just no?
I think if they can get into added time, into extra time, it might be a great achievement for them. But I can see this being about 3-1.
Yeah. Okay. Paul, how are you seeing this one playing out?
Yeah. I mean, this is where you try and... Because it's football, it's the World Cup, and Korea didn't expect to get this far, I don't think. So why not let our hearts rule our head? Korea win 2-1.
Why not? What do these predictions mean anyway? It doesn't mean
exactly.
If you've been listening to our predictions and making decisions off them, then more fool you, because
Indeed, yeah.
we are always wrong. But yeah, I want Korea to do well. I want them to go through. I really do. And the prospect that they could verse either Croatia or Japan in the quarterfinal, that would be very tasty indeed. But I've got this feeling we're gonna see Brazil go through and probably go through comfortably. So this could be the end of the line.
Sorry, Matthew. I just hope that it is a good performance and the score isn't like what it was when they played in a friendly in June. Obviously that ended 5-1. To Brazil, as long as it isn't anything like that, as long as Korea can put in a good performance and have a good go at it, and why not? They'll be really confident, having just beaten Portugal. So who knows?
Indeed. Well, yeah, and I just hope when they come back, we've seen in the last couple of World Cups, they've taken some pelters quite literally from punters at the airport and things like this. And I still don't think they deserved it. Anyway, they didn't deserve it the last World Cup, but I don't think they deserve it for their performances here. And I think general mood at the moment in Korea is this squad it's been fun to watch. They've attacked, they've tried to be creative, they tried to take it to teams. It's not always paid off, but they've always tried to show their best. And I hope, sure, if they lose to Brazil, it's gonna be heartbreaking, but I hope people can just remember like how fun it was, that Portugal match on Friday. And but for me, Brazil to go through, maybe it won't be like the 5-1 friendly defeat, but I still think it's going to be about 2 or 3-0 to Brazil. So yeah, that's my pessimistic view. But who knows? We could be back on Tuesday or Wednesday talking about a quarterfinal review. But let's look at the mailbag because we've had a few comments come in. One of them is from Joe Needham on Facebook. Hi, Joe. Joe is asking, who could have earned a big money move from the Korean performances so far? Well, I can think of one name in particular, but I'm going to ask both of you. Michael, which players do you think may have earned themselves a big money move based on this World Cup?
Well, I think the biggest name so far is Taegeuk Song, isn't it, for his brace against Ghana? I think teams like Celtic are already inquiring his services. So definitely he'd have to be on the list in my eyes to make a move. But how about you guys?
Paul?
He's one. Hwang In-bom as well is another. I know he obviously already is in Europe with Olympiacos, but there's already talk about interest from the Bundesliga. That might just sort of, the way that he's been playing in these World Cup group stage games might just sort of force teams his hands a bit earlier, maybe than they would have done. Maybe they would have waited until the summer. They might think about bringing him in now instead. Other than that, I mean, the players in the key areas of the pitch for Korea are already sort of in Europe or playing abroad. I think maybe if we were to see more of a Choi Yu-min, but obviously he only got like a very, very, very short cameo at the end of the game at centre back. But yeah, I think Choi Yu-song, with interest from all over Europe, apparently, he's probably going to be the one that we'll see leave the K-League and go over to Europe next.
Yeah, Choi Yu-sung for me based on that performance. Although I'm sure clubs have been basing it on other factors that I don't really think should matter. He has obviously had a sizable uptake in his Instagram followers after this competition for his handsome good looks and things. But he is a great striker for John Buck. He's won everything domestically in K-League. I always forget that. He's won K-League 1, he's won K-League 2, and he's won 2 FA Cups. And he's done military service. He's a very, very tempting purchase for a European club because, well, they won't have to send him back to do that. And he's a developing talent, lots of room to grow. And you can see he's got that kind of finishing ability. I still think there's areas of his game to work on. I don't always think he's not always the quickest to react at times, but I do think he is reasonably sharp, and he's started to find his feet in John Buck, and they'll probably just take him away as he's just found, as he's just got comfortable in Jeonju. But anyway, Choi Yu-sung for me. I think Son Min-kyu, if he had played, maybe could have also forced somebody's hand. Same like you said with Cho Yu-min, 2 young players with lots of potential, but they're not going to get game time in this World Cup now, it seems. So based on this World Cup, not those, but I do think if European clubs are looking for players from Korea, then they are 2 that they should be looking towards. We do have a question in from Chewy as well, and Chewy on YouTube. What kind of injury does Kim Min-jae have? Well, he was a right calf injury, I believe. It was a right calf injury. He had it going into the competition a little bit, didn't he? And he recovered, but it's a reoccurrence. So it's not quite clear whether he's going to be fully fit for this Brazil game. Hopefully by missing the Portugal game, that will have given him that additional time to recover, because they did apparently, or they were making the decision for the Portugal game on the day. That says to me that he should be close to recovery, but
he was asked, I'm not sure if you saw the post-match interview. I found it quite interesting that he didn't even play, but he was interviewed by NBC, and he kind of hinted that he will be getting ready for the round of 16 games. So I think he should feature. He was touch and go for Ghana. He played. He was touch and go for the Portugal game. He was rested. I think he should be fine.
Indeed. Well, there is also one other question from Chewy. I don't actually have the answer to this one. I don't know whether either of you do. It's about Kim Yong-kwon, who came off with an injury. Do you think he'll be available for Brazil?
Well, let's hope so. I think he's so good, Kim Yong-kwon. I think he's just a very, very, very good player. My tweet about him yesterday, all the trophies that he's won at domestic level, obviously with the Chinese Super League and now with in the K League. I think he's just a fantastic player. But hopefully he's fit. But Kwon Young-won proved that he's more than capable of coming in and doing a job. So I think Korea are all right. They've got 4 centre-backs. Not a lot of depth, but the players that they do have who could come in should be fine. So, yeah, Kim Yong-kwon, hopefully he's fit. If he's not, I think Kim Min-jae will start. I think if one of those two aren't fit, then there are options there. If they're both not fit, then we're in trouble.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to touch and go for that. We will have previews and news updates on KLeagueUnited.com for people who want to find out about that. We'll also have lots of things on KLeague.com as well. Paul, you've got a few things going out on there at the moment, haven't you? And
the K-League Internationals, kind of a brief recap went up last night on KLeague.com, just obviously talking about Korea making it through to the round of 16. I will be looking at some more of the stats of the K-League players in particular, of what sort of contributions that they made. Obviously, 3 of the back 4 were from the K-League, and obviously Cho Gi-sung started the game and played most of it as well, obviously of John Book. So I'll be looking at that. And yeah, there'll be other things as well up on there in due course.
Indeed. And that kind of wraps it up for this week. If people wanting to follow us, they can follow us on social media. That's on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, all at K-League United. You can also support us on patreon.com/K-League United. Our podcast is also in association with Classic Football Shirts. So click the link in this description, type in KLU10, and get yourself a classic football shirt from one of the nations of previous tournaments, or a nation of this tournament that's gone out, because they are now classic. So yeah, get that Uruguay shirt, and that's probably available now. But yeah,
it's a good shirt as well.
It's a very nice shirt. I really do like that Uruguay shirt. Not as much as I like this Korea away shirt. It looks like we're not going to see, but only on Michael.
Yeah.
So but hopefully Korea stay in. Hopefully we'll find a way of seeing that away shirt. And yes, if you want shirts, go to Classic Football Shirts and you can find something there that might suit you. But that's it, because we're all kind of flagging a bit here. We're all a little bit sleepy because it's been a long night, but it's been a fun one because Korea are through to the round of 16. Korea will be playing Brazil on Monday night, and I hope you all look forward to it. From me, from Michael Redmond, from Paul Neat, thanks so much for listening. Goodbye.
정조선 고공 폭격기 김신우